competition. This is huge news, and I commend Eli Lilly. It makes two things very clear. First, capping insulin at $35 is good policy. If Eli Lilly can do it, so should we in Congress, plain and simple. It's been adapted already in red and blue states. Now one of the biggest manufacturers is doing it, so the time has come to get...
We got to have news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. Continue watching this video, folks, because we have a ton of information about stimulus payments. So Joe Biden has unveiled a new plan for Medicare and other important programs. It's part of the Biden administration's broader budget. Millions of Americans will see a difference to their monthly checks, and if this legislation is signed into law, people will get their stimulus cash. And now Joe Biden has made a big announcement with a new plan that he says will shore up Medicare's finances through 2050 by increasing taxes on the wealthy, and the president announced a plan that will allow more negotiation on prescription. The plan is part of the White House's overall budget that is set to be released later this week as a battle brews on Capitol Hill over the debt ceiling. But one thing is for certain, Joe Biden can make it happen, because amid the showdown, Joe Biden saw a stark contrast between his administration and the Republican Party when it comes to Social Security and Medicare. He's accused some in the GOP of attacking the popular programs, though Kevin McCarthy said they are off the table in the upcoming negotiations, and has vowed to strengthen the programs as they face financial shortfalls. And to keep Medicare solvent, Biden's new plan would increase the Medicare tax rate by 5%, which is up from 3.8%, making more than $400,000 a year for people. He's also proposed allowing Medicare to negotiate the prices of more prescription and investing the savings back into the program. Currently, Medicare is allowed to negotiate only the prices of a small share of covered prescriptions, everybody, and that's not actually that good. First of all, he's proposed allowing Medicare to negotiate the prices, and now, according to the White House fact sheet, the Medicare proposal will also cap generic prescription costs, sharing at $2 for medications that is used to treat chronic illnesses like hypertension or high cholesterol. Biden stated, "Add all that up, and my budget will extend the Medicare trust fund for more than another generation." An additional 25 years or more solvency is good, because that will help so many people. There are common sense changes that I'm confident an overwhelming majority of Americans support. And millions of seniors depend on Medicare for health insurance, but the program faces a funding shortfall that could see benefits cut starting in 2028. And now a health policy professor at Biden's new plan said prescriptions make up about 20% of fee-for-service Medicare spending for beneficiaries who are enrolled in prescription benefits. So it should not be surprising that doing more to reduce the prices would help extend the solvency until 2050. It remains to be seen how Biden's budget will address Social Security, which also faces a funding shortfall that could result in scheduled benefits being cut by 22% starting in 2034. Biden is scheduled to unveil his broader budget plan in Philadelphia, and the GOP is yet to reveal exactly what they want to see cut in the next budget, and it's not even that detailed yet. But starting in 1940, the SSA has began sending monthly checks to retired workers every month for the Social Security Administration. Last year, the SSA announced an 8.7% cost of living, resulting in even higher payments for 2023. The SSA has already dispersed payments for January and February, and is currently sending some out for this month as well.
Well, thank you. At this point, let me recognize Senator Manchin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And General Negusoni, let me just say I'm sorry, because I have all the confidence in the world in you, and we've been working very close together, and I'm chairman of the Cyber Committee, and also along with Senator Mike Rounds. And we both appreciate your service, and we're looking forward to any hearing you want to have. And but I can tell you have the support of a bipartisan group here, which is very, very deep. Next of all, General Fenton, I would like to ask you a question based on the publishing of the 2019...
Thought that we would be reducing the national debt and all of that. And if you look at the history, it's under Democratic presidents that the national debt has been reduced. The deficit greatly reduced under President Biden. Check that out. And
now, I can't believe this is happening. State lawmakers across the country want this done. Officials are now moving forward with new stimulus payments, and these checks are aimed at providing necessary relief to the millions of low-income households. So make sure to keep on watching this video to get the most up-to-date, reliable stimulus check information. First of all, folks, the Alabama lawmakers are eyeing a possible tax rebate as the state sees a budget surplus of more than $2 billion. The legislators will face decisions on what to do next with this rare surplus, including how much to save, how much to spend, and the state budget that funds education has a $3 billion surplus. According to the Legislative Services Agency, the state general fund has a smaller surplus of $350 million. And now one senator who chairs the Senate Education Budget Committee said lawmakers are working with the Alabama governor to create a proposal, and they expect the plan to include rebate checks to taxpayers, along with tax cuts and putting money in reserves. He said that we believe we have enough to send people back to Alabama with stimulus payments. In addition to that, folks, with the economy and inflation, they're struggling, and so this could be a smaller manner of relief to them. He said that lawmakers are considering $500 million in total rebates. The amount sent back to the people would depend on how eligibility is defined, but he said they are looking at a minimum of $200 or even $250 for individuals and $400 or $500 for married couples who file joint returns. The Republican lawmaker said he also expects proposals for tax cuts, but he said it is important for the state to put a significant amount of money into reserves. The Associated Press reported in August that at least 15 states have approved one-time revenues for the surpluses. There have been disagreements among lawmakers on how to use the rare surplus. Fresh from issuing a $300 tax rebate to residents, the Hawaii governor's administration is considering another tax refund this year. But unlike the previous rebate, this one is for the middle class and low income. Even the state budget director said, we're looking at all types of support and what we can do to the residents of the state, especially those that are within the middle and lower income, to provide them the kind of relief they need. According to state officials, the tax refund could total anywhere from $100 to $300 million. The latter is nearly the same amount approved by lawmakers last year. The refund proposal is part of the Green administration's tax relief plan. It will also include exemptions and credits for food and even vehicle registrations. The tax refunds are an outgrowth of the positive outlook for the Hawaii economy. And so while the U.S. economy is expected to go into recession, people think the state will avoid one. The Department of Revenue already announced that older and disabled people can now apply for rebates on property taxes or rent paid in 2022. The assistance is available through the Property Tax Rent Rebate Program. It has delivered more than $7 billion to eligible people since the program's creation. And now Georgia's giant hill of money also looms over state lawmakers as the session begins next Monday. State government ended the 2022 budget year with $6 billion in surplus cash. Even the Georgia governor has announced plans to spend more than $3 billion of that amount through a combination of one-time tax givebacks, which fellow Republican legislative leaders are signaling support for. But even that bonanza will leave about $3 billion that could be spent, saved, or given away. Even the Senate Appropriations Committee has said that lawmakers are still on broad pause after giving stimulus payments. They're not sure what to do, folks, so hopefully they can finally come to an agreement.
Inflation and prices. We haven't even seen the impact yet of the lockdowns in China and what that'll do to shipping and supply chains. So the first point, I think, is that it's a good moment to have higher cash levels, to be a bit more cautious and prepared for volatility. But I really appreciate Rick and Steve. They're singing from my playbook about what these shifts in the market today mean for longer-term investment, in particular, how you have to invest in resources, metals, mining, and energy.